Welcome, everyone. This is another episode of Propelling Business Excellence, and I am very excited to say that I'm joined by Dr. Fuhrman, who is the CEO of Dr. Fuhrman and Eat to Retreat. So thank you very much, Dr. Fuhrman, for joining us. I'm extremely excited, especially to know that you are an author of New York best-selling books. So why don't you kick us off with a brief background of who you are and what you do?
Sure. My name is Joel Fuhrman. I'm a board-certified family physician specializing in nutritional medicine. I've been doing this for more than 35 years, and
Mhm.
my passion is to let people know that they don't have to suffer with chronic diseases the rest of their life, that psoriasis is reversible with nutritional excellence, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, mixed connective tissue disease, all these diseases, people, multiple sclerosis, we have people make full recoveries under my direction. And of course, people lose weight, they get rid of their high blood pressure, their chest pains, their diabetes goes away. And so at drfuhrman.com, I offer the educational and products and services for people to connect with me and get my guidance. They don't have to come and see me as a patient. They can get it right through the internet to get the information, motivation, and services that they need to reverse disease in a natural, nutritional way. And yes, I've written about 13 books,
Oh,
7 of which should become New York Times bestsellers. And I've had 5 separate television shows on PBS, on public television. And my television shows have been extremely successful. I've raised over $70 million for public television, which represents many millions of sales of books and tapes to try to educate Americans to live healthier and take better care of their health. So my passion is to educate, inform, motivate people to make changes in their lifestyle so they don't have to get sick. And so they don't have to get high blood pressure and diabetes and heart disease. Keep in mind, heart attacks are the #1 cause of death of adults in the modern world, heart attacks and strokes. And I'm saying nobody has to have a heart attack or a stroke. We could wipe out more than 97% of heart attacks and strokes. So we have this unprecedented opportunity in human history to live longer, to add 20 years to our lives, to not get cancer, heart disease, strokes, and dementia. And so I'm very passionate about teaching the information so people can reverse disease and make better choices to live a longer, happier life. And I've been very successful in this field with, tens of thousands of people making the changes necessary to recover their health, and many thousands of people have reversed these serious illnesses under my care.
yeah, that's amazing. So, does your program also work for the people who have already had the heart attack?
Yes, if they're still alive and not yet in a coffin. I always say the food doesn't taste that great once you're in the coffin.
That's right. Okay,
But,
that's
but
amazing.
if they're still alive, they can make changes to not have another heart attack or to add years to their life. If they're living, they could better their future. But some people, unfortunately, are living very uncomfortably and in very poor health. And
Hmm.
hopefully to get through to most people before they get to that advanced stage where advanced cancer or advanced heart failure or advanced dementia, we're trying to get to people before their diseases advance to the point where their lives become totally tragic.
Yeah.
Um, so this is, it's something I'm extremely passionate about. It's why I went to medical school, because I was already a successful business person, because my father had a chain of shoe stores in New York City called
Hmm.
Trueform Shoes. And I was on the world figure skating team, and I was performing in ice shows and teaching. And so I was left the United States figure skating team. I was third in the world in pair skating with my sister in the early 1970s.
Hmm.
And then I went from there to working in my father's shoe business. And my father's plan was to retire and have me take over the chain of shoe stores in New York and New Jersey and Connecticut. But I decided to instead sell the business and go back to medical school and pursue my passion, which was nutrition, to be able to have more impact, because I saw myself as having a lot of personal satisfaction and reward to being able to transform people's lives for the best, for the better. And I was very critical of the way medicine is practiced, where people just take drugs to reduce symptoms as their underlying condition continues to deteriorate while they follow the standard American diet, which is so disease-causing.
That's amazing. This is a great business to have.
Yeah.
So, what inspired you to start your own business? Like, what was the initial spark that led you to take the entrepreneurial leap?
Well, being a doctor, you can either join a practice or join an established hospital, or you could
Mm-hmm.
start your own business as a medical doctor. So my first step out of residency was to open up my own practice and borrow the money and actually the hospital lent me money at a low interest rate, lent me about $250,000 at a low interest rate to build the practice I wanted to build with this unique and new specialization back then in the 1980s in nutrition. And you have to work hard when you're doing something that's not conventional, because people have to know what you're doing and you have to promote yourself. So,
Right.
so not only lecturing and speaking, but also I knew early on that writing a book, because a book can become your calling card and
Mm.
enable you to get some publicity on television shows and radio shows. When you don't have a book, it's more difficult. But when you have a book, it's a calling card and an opportunity to speak. So I wrote my first book in 1990. My first book was published, called Fasting and Eating for Health, published in 1996. And actually, when I wrote Eat to Live in 2024, in 2004, I wrote Eat to Live. And I went around the country promoting that, going in local television shows and local radio shows and I almost became bankrupt running around the country, not seeing patients, not working, but just trying to promote the book. But you
Mm.
have to do with the long-term goal, and then I obviously got enough, how should I say, I had the opportunity to audition in front of the people who run PBS. They interviewed me and 12 other doctors who had written books, and then they did a test market of our 20-minute test show. And when I was giving this test market on the PBS in San Francisco, in their testing studio, they had like these robot cameras filming me, like 3 robot cameras aimed at me, and I was giving like a lecture about nutrition that would possibly be a television show at PBS. And I said, stop, let me do it over again, because I'm not an actor. I can't act passionate and funny and personable in front of a robot camera. Put some
Yeah.
people in the room to sit there in front of me, let me sit. So they put some people who were working around the, um, around the station, sitting on the floor under the camera, so I could at least talk at them, look at them, and make jokes to them and stuff like that. And
Right.
then my test show had the most favorable response of all the shows they tested. And then they gave myself the opportunity to have my own television show on PBS, and they gave the person who came in second in the test market the opportunity. But my show then blew out. It was very best-selling, one of the best shows at PBS of all time. It was one of the top 10 shows on PBS.
Oh,
It
wow.
raised, like, my shows raised over $70 million for public television, and I even had more more exposure on PBS than Barbara Streisand or one of the very famous people. I had a lot of exposure on PBS. They kept showing the show over and over again, and I think I've been on television as a result of those TV shows. They counted up the hours they showed me on television, including film, in the middle of the night when hardly any people's watching. But I've been on television hour-wise more than Oprah has.
Oh, wow.
That's so because when the show is doing well, they keep showing it over and over again.
Right. What
As
was
a
the
matter
show
of fact,
called?
Oprah called me on the phone. She,
Yeah.
she called me on my cell phone, and she said to me, "Joel," I said, "Oh, I can't. Oh, it's Oprah." I said, "I can't believe you're calling. I can't believe I'm speaking to you." And she says, "I can't believe I'm speaking to you."
That's funny.
She said,
What
"I'm
was the
eating
show
to
called?
live." She said, "I'm eating to live." And I said, "Okay, that's great, Oprah. I'm so proud of you." Because she obviously read my book. But that was my best-selling book, Eat to Live, which of course hit the heights of being one of the top New York Times bestsellers because of my exposure to PBS and also being a frequent guest on the Dr. Oz show. That combination, being a frequent guest on the Dr. Oz show and having my own television show on PBS, really then skyrocketed the sales of my books. You know what I mean? So a lot
Yeah.
of it's luck and a lot of it's, being in the right, having the right opportunities, but certainly um, writing a book and writing books, because I've written numerous books, opens the opportunity for me to get the publicity to build my business. So, and they gave me another show on PBS because I've written another book. So I wrote a book called The End of Diabetes, and then I could
Hmm.
do a show on television about reversing diabetes and do radio shows and television about reversing diabetes. And then I
Hmm.
wrote a book called The End of Heart Disease. And then I could do a show, a television show, or go on guests on other shows. And I was on, like Kelly and Michael, stuff like, I had that book, The End of Heart Disease. And then I wrote a book called Super Immunity. And then I wrote a book called, so my most recent book is called Eat for Life, because obviously, you have to update your book. So I've written and I have a book called Fast Food Genocide, and I have a book called Disease Proof Your Child, and I have a book called The End of Dieting. So I have a lot of books on different topics that we used in the package of information we would send to people, a series of videotapes and books when they bought the package on public television. But today, my
Hmm.
business is different. Today, people come to my website at drfuhrman.com and they could watch the master class, a series of like 20-minute videos to learn about the nutritarian diet. They could download a master class on reversing autoimmune disease and cancer. What do you do to prevent and reverse and help if you have cancer or autoimmune disease? They can get information how to recover and watch the videos or read information we have there. And I do a podcast with my daughter, Jenna. We do a
Hmm.
podcast that people can listen to and get more information. So I'm in the business of giving people information, educational information, that then leads to further sales of my products and food and supplements and other things they need to make it tasty, like a ketchup with no salt in it, or a Thai curry sauce made with dates and hemp seeds with no sugar
Oh,
or salt
wow.
added, or a soup made with with no salt. Or in other words, I have a series of healthy products that people can make the diet quicker and easier to make if they
Hmm.
they buy their own salad dressings made of nuts and seeds instead of oils. So we have these healthy products that nutritarians can then purchase to make eating this way easy and doable.
That's
And
great. That's really good because it's not easy to find these products either. So,
right, so I sell them mostly through the website as opposed to in stores, because it's a niche market of people who are health enthusiasts wanting these no salt and no sugar products, and
hmm.
no oil either. It's no salt, no sugar, and no oil.
Oh,
All the
wow.
fats come from nuts and seeds, nothing from oil,
That's
because
amazing.
oil rushes into the bloodstream at
Uh-huh.
about 50 calories a minute,
Oh,
which
wow.
then stimulates appetite and is fattening. When you eat the fat from nuts and seeds, it's so lifespan promoting, but the fat calories come into the bloodstream so slowly that you're only getting about 1 calorie a minute compared to 50 calories a minute. And the body can preferentially burn that for energy, not store it as fat. And it keeps away our appetite. It keeps away our desire to eat for many hours. So nuts and seeds, as opposed to eating oil and animal fats, are linked to smaller waistlines, lower risk of diabetes and heart disease and things like that.
Oh,
And
okay.
overall reduction in mortality.
Yeah.
And then, because eating as healthfully as I recommend can be difficult for people, especially with people with food addictions, and I established a retreat in San Diego called the Eat to Live Retreat, the same name as my number one selling book.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned I had 7 New York Times best-selling book, but Eat to Live was by far the one that sold the most books. So that's, people know me from that term, Eat to Live. They know me the most from that. So we opened up the Eat to Live retreat in San Diego, where people generally fly in from different parts of the world or the country, and they stay here for 1, 2, or 3 months, sometimes longer,
Uh-huh.
because some people feel they just can't do it by themselves. They don't have the skill or the tools or the ability. They have to go somewhere, and they stay here. They lose maybe 20 pounds the first month and 15 pounds the second month, and they get rid of their diabetes, and their high blood pressure goes away, and their chest pains are gone, and their psoriasis disappears, and their body aches. So we treat their mind. We don't just teach them about nutrition. We train them to be happier and to have robust emotional health, so that when they go home, they have the wisdom to take better care of themselves. And we also have equipment that can help recover them from cartilage, frozen shoulder and knee or hip injuries, so they don't have to have joint replacement surgeries. So we
Mm,
treat their joints when they're here as well with a new technology called soft wave TRT or soft wave,
okay.
which can give these waves of shocks into the joints to take away pain and remove calcifications, arthritic calcifications in the joints. So they're cared for in a way here to help them. Now they can exercise, and we have a saltwater pool and water aerobics and pickleball and sand volleyball and hiking trails and exercise classes and meditation and cooking classes. And we have a whole program for people to come here. Um, so
That's
that
amazing.
yeah,
So,
so that's so my business have grown, they're interrelated, and
uh-huh.
so as people have certain needs, we've developed the products and services to meet the needs that people have been asking for.
Yeah. So, Dr. Furman, I guess in terms of your business here, right, what are some misconceptions about running a business and how would you address them?
Hmm. Well, I think, you know, misconceptions. I'm not sure the misconceptions. I
Hmm.
think that overall, I think maybe our misconception is that we don't develop products and services based on um, so much so on economic decisions
Uh-huh.
versus based on the being responsive to our guests, our clients, and our customers.
I see.
So, so for example, when we launched a powdered nutritional supplement that takes the place of a multivitamin and an immune supporting or an anti-cancer or a plant protein and prebiotic and mushroom extract and green tea, all this into a green drink or a powder. We
Yeah.
developed that because so many people told us they can't stand swallowing pills. They
Hmm.
want to have something of powder. So it kind of like the need came from the feedback and
From the
desire of our
customer.
clients and guests to meet that need. So we're
Okay.
kind of like a niche market, but I think that we have a tremendous amount of enthusiastic and very loyal customers because they realize my ultimate mission is the ultimate pleasure I get from helping them and having them reverse disease. And trying to sell them something is secondary. I'm not going to sell, I'd rather sell them somebody else's product if it's going to help them more than my own even. They know that they're going to get information from me that's going to benefit them, and it's not just a business to make money. This is a passion project that turned into a business.
To help the clients. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have like so much going on. I mean, you have so many New York best time seller book. How do you maintain work-life balance and how do you stay motivated and energized?
Um, I enjoy working and do what I do, but I don't take away from my sleep, from my exercise, and from my family time. So I have it planned into my schedule. I know I'm going after this Zoom interview. I know I'm going to the gym. And I know yesterday I did jumping on boxes and I did leg extension and I pulled sleds and things. And I know today I'm going to do upper body and I'm going to do stomach and back maybe in the gym. Or I'm going to go for a hike with my wife. So I always have it planned in my schedule. And also I know that I stop working at a certain time at night. I might work till 7:30 at night, but when 7:30 comes, I know that's relaxation time.
Yeah,
And so I build it into my schedule. You know what I mean? So I know I'm working when I'm working and I'm have enough time to have play. Even though I'm 70 years old, I still enjoy having the balance between work, play, and the hobby here is taking good care of your health. Having this identity as a nutritarian, which means we're trying to get enough sleep and we're exercising every day and we're eating right and we're doing all the things to enjoy our life, which means spending time with nature or spending time with the time set aside to spend time having fun, right?
that's amazing. I wasn't thinking that you'll be doing any of this after all you mentioned. So,
But I'm
so you're
an avid
practicing for
tennis
me.
player. I play tennis, pickleball, and
That's
I'm an
amazing.
avid skier. I like to downhill ski and do mogul skiing and powder skiing. So I plan that in my I plan and schedule that, and if it means that, so I do the best I can with the work time I have available, but I'm still trying to set that balance up with my life, especially at the age of 70. When I was 40 and 50, I might have worked more hours and exercised less. But as you get older, you want to spend more time exercising and less time working,
Mhm.
which works out well for me too, because now my daughters, who are adults, are now going to assist me in the business, right? So my daughter Jen is doing podcasts and she's working, and my daughter Kara is finishing up naturopathic medical school, and she's going to help me do lectures at the retreat and do facial. So I have a lot of so as I get older in age, I can have the balance of work and play, and have my adult children take more role in the business as well.
Okay, that's great. So, what about your future plans for like 1 to 3 years? I know you're mentioning about your kids, etc.
Yes, I have some very exciting future plans
Yeah.
because we are, meaning we and myself in partnership with a team of scientists in Arizona, are developing an AI app that's going to be a holographic version of myself that can go home with you.
Oh, wow.
So now you'll have me giving you nutritional advice, motivation, meditation, exercise, and seeing. So, do you want to lose? How much weight do you need to lose? And it'll say, and the person will say, I need to lose 10 pounds, I need to lose 20 pounds. And I'll say, well, here's what you have to do if you want to lose. I'd like you to lose 3 pounds a week or 2 pounds a week, and this is what you'd have to do. And the person says, I can't do that. Well, so it communicates with them as to
Mhm.
push them to the level of adherence they're willing to do, and continue to motivate and teach them and work with them and give them the support and motivation and information and constant feedback. It's almost like I'm right there interacting with them, and in a way that with also with emotion and reading them. And the app has the ability to read the emotions off their face and see the reaction into. So in other words, we're developing some higher tech products now that will
That's
move into the
great.
future and bring my work into a broader audience still.
That's great. So, do
Yeah.
you see any challenges or obstacles with achieving your goals?
Um, Well, no, not really challenges or obstacles. It's
Hmm.
more like it's having the time, but when you put and having the right people to support your dreams, having the right team members that can help you achieve those dreams you want to achieve. And like at the retreat, I mean, now we have a great personal trainer there, and we have 4 great chefs there, and we have a great, nurse there. So we have people that can take my work and learn it, and we have, food addictions counselors, and we have, so it's just when you first start out doing that, maybe some of the people who are working for me weren't perfect representatives of what I wanted to achieve, but over time, you hone and develop your staff to help you to bring your dreams and passions to fruition. And I
Yeah.
think that that's the obstacle, is constantly improving the people around you and their abilities to support you in what you want to achieve.
Yeah. And what advice would you offer to like any aspiring entrepreneurs or any other entrepreneurs who are facing challenges in their business?
I think I would advise them to, that to make sure they're passionate about
Hmm.
what they're trying to achieve, and
Right.
that it has some element of goodwill for other people, and that their customers know their passion for having creative goodwill, and how this, whatever their economic well-being is based on, it's not that it's based on trying to help people and supply them with to help meet their needs and their personal goals. So I think when people see um, that your business is based on serving them in their own best interests, then people develop more passion for being a good customer. I remember when we had the shoe business, right? My father had the 12 shoe stores in New York City. He would say, every person coming in with a complaint about something wrong is an opportunity to make that person into a customer for life.
Hmm.
So we want people to come in complaining about their shoes or complaining about something, because then we could solve it to make them so satisfied and so good about what we did for them that they'll always become a customer in the future, therefore building our business into a successful long-term with longevity and long-term success.
That's an excellent point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dr. Furman, this was not in my script here, but I'm curious to know, how did you end up writing this best-selling book? Because I've seen a lot of Amazon best-selling books, but not so many of New York best-selling books. So what was your, could you give us one or two pointers?
Hmm.
It was a hard work for sure.
Yes, it's just hard work. I mean, I put in a lot of hours of work. I think that maybe my skating career of working so hard while I was going to high school and college, I was still training 6 hours a day, made medical school relatively easy comparatively to the being a competitive athlete and going to college. It was more stressful than being going to medical school for sure. Because in medical school, I just had to study. I didn't have to still train 6 hours a day as an athlete. So then when I was as a physician, I think I was able to be disciplined to put the time aside in the evenings and even after I put my kids to bed at 8 o'clock at night, I still had to work. I worked from 8 to 12 every night to kind of write those books. Sometimes you have to do what it takes to get the basics structure of your career or business done. And in my case, I had to get some books out to allow my business to grow because people just couldn't know what I'm up to and have respect for what I'm doing. Even other doctors, how are they going to refer me patients to know what I'm doing? Because they're going to think, who's this crazy guy with these crazy ideas? Until you write it in a book and you support it with science and people know exactly what you stand for, at least then they're supporting or not supporting something they know what you're really saying and not something they invented or think you're saying. So
Mhm.
I felt in my case, writing a book was tremendously important for the success of my future career and business, so I, had to allocate the time for that.
That's amazing. So it was more the hard work and the time.
Yes.
Even with more hard work and time, people generally can't get to the New York best time selling. I think that is very amazing. I think it requires a lot of talent.
Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you very much for your time today, Dr. Furman. And it was great meeting you, learning about your entrepreneurial journey. I'm very, very happy to have you here. So to everyone watching, we look forward to seeing you in the next episode.